My dad suffered from a little bit of a lack of confidence.
Got it.
Dad grew up in a 9-person family, 9 brothers and sisters. Grew up on the very meager side of things, hand-me-down clothes. So I think that affected him growing up. And even though he was as smart as he was, he didn't go to college. His best friend, who my dad actually walked away from valedictorian so his friend could win it, and his friend wound up going to NASA and working as a NASA engineer, working on different moon projects and mission projects, and so smartest guy just lacks in self-confidence. My mom, the yin and the yang, uber confidence. I got all my confidence. I got the belief in myself from my mom. Whether she thought she could do it or whether she really could do it or not, she thought she could do it. And so she put a lot of that swag in me that later in life came out. I think I had a little bit of my dad early on, and then as life happened, it came out. But anyway, both her dream was for me to go to college. And so I went to Texas A&M. I have an engineering degree there. And of course, your next mentors are your professors. And they tell you, get good grades so you can get a good job. And that's what I did. I worked in Houston from 1997 to 2007 when I graduated. And worked in the oil and gas industry. I did engineering sales. So I would sell $1 million piece of equipment to guys with PhDs in the chemical plants in the ship channel. And I did that for the better part of 10 years. I worked my way up as inside sales and then into a sales engineer and then later on a regional territory manager. And, I had these dreams of saving away from our 401k and maxing out. And we max out every year so I get my employer's matching. And thought that I would retire at 50 years old or 55 years old, have $1 million in my retirement account. And that was going to be the end all, situation. And, but as a sales guy, you want to get paid in commission. You want to get paid a little salary, max out commission, because you want to get compensated for your merit. Mm-hmm. You want to get compensated for your personal effort. I will outwork you, and then I want to harvest that for years to come. Well, corporate America doesn't believe in that. Because once you start getting too high, they want to cut you down. I want to be here, they want you to be down here. And after a couple of commission changes at the last second, I realized I did not have control of my financial future, which means I did not have control when I was going to retire, which means I didn't have control of the kind of house I was going to live or the kind of schools my kids were going to go to. And I wanted that back. It was a big epiphany in my life. So I started looking around at other things that I could do. And I looked at, childcare facilities. I love kids. Childcare facilities. I looked at coin-operated laundry machines, what they call washaterias back in Texas. And I found a guy on the radio who was just bigger than life and talked about why you should own real estate. And I'm going to go there. I'm going to see what this is all about. About 2 years of just listening to this guy on the radio. So I finally had the courage to come in and go to that club. I spent $500 to go to that 2-day boot camp, and when I left Saturday, it was going to be, I learned everything I ever wanted to know about how to invest in single family homes. And I thought, man, I'm going to be the single family king. This was it. This is my path to financial freedom. This was my path to, whatever. And then I went to Sunday and I learned multifamily investment. And I was first introduced into the concept of the magic formula, which is basically your NOI divided by your cap rate gives you your valuation. It became the most important thing in my life. So I wanted the mentorship. I wanted to be part of this real estate club. I didn't know any better. It just seemed like better than anything else I was doing. I didn't know then what I know now, which is before you invest in anything, invest in yourself. I was doing that. I just didn't know it. I got in this club. I got around a lot of other like-minded people. It was like a giant Rich Dad Poor Dad book that had come to life.
And did you have to pay for this?
I paid $10,000.
$10,000.
Which I remember telling my wife at the time, I'm going to do this. And she's like, whoa, what's going on? Oh, I don't know. I need to go with you on Sunday because you're hot to trot. And that's because I was hot to trot on what I was hearing on Saturday, which was single family. She came and she drank the Kool-Aid with me. Okay, I see you're pretty serious about this. I'll support you on it. And I wound up doing it. So for the next year or so, I educated myself on everything multifamily. They had a bunch of videos. They had a bunch of what they call road trips where you show up on a Friday, you listen to somebody do a case study, and then you go to his property in the afternoon. And you get to meet his staff, you get to touch the brick, you get to just really pretend like you're in the deal. You get to see all these investors that are invested with him. It was real. It wasn't like, fly by night. It wasn't like some infomercial that you see at 2 a.m. This was legit. I'm like, man, this is amazing. I want to do this. So I found a partner in that club, and he and I together decided we'd buy real estate together. We bought our first deal in December of 07.
Are you still working full time at this?
Yeah, I'm about to get there.
Okay.
So December of 07, I'm still working full time. We're buying our first deal, and I started to realize, man, I love what I'm doing. I love coming every single day there. I recognized very quickly, too, that at the time I was more experienced, more educated, more capable than anybody else in the building, right, in that leasing office, right? Because I'm one that gets everyday people, who, they didn't have, people spend a lot of money to turn me into a good sales guy.
Right.
And I have an education behind me as well. I have an engineering degree, so I know numbers. So very quickly I could see things and understand and operate in a certain way that I wanted to go. And 5 months later, I got approached by my sales manager at my day job, and he said, hey, you've been ducking me. It's now April 2008. You were supposed to send me your sales forecast for 2008 back in December of 07. You need to sit down with me. We're going to meet Monday. I'm like, oh, crap. Because I wasn't going to work. I was literally spending all my time at the apartments. I would make whatever appointments I needed to make, and then I would hurry up and come back to the apartments because I didn't want to miss what was going on. So I remember coming here and having that performance review, that sales forecast. He opens up his book. All right. So we're 3 months in. You have a head start on what you're going to do for 08. Tell me what you're going to do for 08. And he looked at me, and I gave him my resignation letter. And I said, hey, listen, I found something I really love. Well, what is it? And I started telling him about how I found real estate, how I found apartments and multifamily, and how I really want to do this, and I feel this is something I need to do. And I guess I spoke in such a way that he closed his book. I wish you well. Gave me a handshake, and he goes, hey, I really like cattle ranching. I wish I could do what you're doing. I wish I could just get up and go and walk away from. I hate what I'm doing. I hate being a sales manager. Man, you seem so passionate about what you're doing. I wish I could go do what you're going to go do. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, it was just this confession. I feel like I was a priest. And he's confessing to me, like, I hate my job.
Right.
And I'm thinking, that's funny because I hated doing this too. But I've never had a day, one day in the 14 years that I've done multifamily, have I ever said that I hate what I'm doing. Ever. And so I walked away. I went full time. Over the next 3 years, my partner and I bought 10 apartment deals. We did 3 cash out refinances events. I led the operations on that during the recession, which was, hand-to-hand combat.
2007 to 2010.
2011.
2007 to 2011, you guys bought 11 deals.
Mm-hmm.
So you went from working full time. I think this is a really key thing that I want everyone to really pay attention to, is that Robert had worked 10 years for the same company.
Yeah.
And had reached a point where he was like, you know what, I think there's something else for me. And instead of quitting his job right away, he went out and did research, right? You went out and you paid, you got training. And what did you say? You researched for 1 or 2 years? You were studying, going and seeing other operators, looking at other properties.
I spent a full year.
Spent a full year. And then you turned in your resignation. I mean, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And I think that there's so many people out there that Chris and I meet, that I hear about, that reach out to me on social media, and they're like, man, how do we get where you're at? How do we do what you're doing? We're unfulfilled. We don't feel passionate and excited to get up every day and go to work. How can we get into something else? And I love how you went about that. You know what I mean?
Amazing. I used to hear people that would say that, man, if you find a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm like, that is such bullshit. I've never even heard that. I don't understand who you are. I live that life today.
Right.
I live a life today that I don't need a vacation from. I take very rare vacations. I just don't want to miss the action. I really enjoy the thrill of the day-to-day with what's going on. And our company we're at today in this point, I'll get to that in a little bit, I really don't know what's going to happen that week. I don't know what killer idea someone's going to come up with. I don't know what game changer that we're going to have, or what opportunity is going to come up, or how I'm going to be on your guys' show from one day to the next. It just happens. There's just so much momentum going on. But just going back really quick in time, I walked away when I turned the resignation in from $160, $170 a year to make $32,000. And I sat in that chair every single day, and I learned how to lease apartments, and I learned how to teach it to other people. I learned how to collect rent from people and be lied to that they're going to pay you on Friday, and they wind up getting an extension to Monday, and they wind up moving out over the weekend in the middle of the night. I learned rehabs. I learned all of these things, right? But I knew where it was going to go. So I knew I was walking away from from something that wasn't where I wanted to go. I once had a mentor, and I know he borrowed this from somebody else because I've heard it before, but he says, what gets in the way of a great life? A good life. And that's what I had. I had a really good life, but I wanted something different. I wanted that next level grade. Now I have a life today I could never imagine. The day I walked through that real estate club, paid $10,000, that was a dream compared to where I'm at today. I don't even remember that anymore. It is such a monumental shift that one of these days that my kids will be like, man, Dad, how do we have this, or how do whatever that? And, well, your granddad walked away from everything he knew, quit to make next to nothing, and learned something that would change his life and our lives for the rest of our lives. And that's what's going to happen in our lives, knock on wood, right? And so it was an amazing ride. I did that for the next 3 years plus. But as anything, partnerships occur. And
I just want to emphasize one thing though, is you went from making 160, 170, which back in 2007 was probably more like making 2 to 225 now. So you were very comfortable, and in Texas, pretty affordable. Houston,
one of the most
very
cities.
affordable. So you were doing well. You probably could go out to eat anytime you wanted, travel anytime you wanted, take any vacation.
Disney,
so you were living very comfortable, and you went from making 160 with a family to 36,000 a year.
Yeah.
So and that's what it takes. Is delayed gratification, hard work, and it's not glamorous. It's not sexy. And when you're making 32,000, it probably wasn't very fun. I mean, now you're having fun, and now it's like, you get to do all these amazing things and meet incredible people. But back then, it probably wasn't anything like that. But you knew you knew you were after something much bigger.
But you see, for a lot of people, that they chase that W-2 paycheck. And the thing about multifamily investing is that it's not just the paycheck; it's the equity creation in that apartment building. And I learned how to create equity. I learned the magic formula. I learned that a $10 rent bump on a 200-unit property creates $400,000 of valuation. So I was taking next to nothing on a day-to-day basis. I was building equity, generational, more than I ever made in that first year. And that was just in that one deal. By the end of that year, we had bought 2 more deals, my partner and I, back in 2008. And so I went from 32 probably up to 60, right? Which was enough to cover the day-to-day bills, enough to keep the lights on, enough to do whatever. We had plenty of reserves.
But you took some risk. You took some massive risk. Yeah.
It's like every one of these deals I applied the magic formula. We were creating tremendous amount of equity. So if you factor it all in, I was making a whole lot more in 6 to 9 months after I walked away. I just hadn't materialized it.
It just wasn't in your bank account. It was an equity.
My bank account.
That's right.
It was equity was being added to within the investments.
Your balance sheet was growing, but your bank account was not. And I think there's a major difference that most people don't understand. So let's transition to partnerships, because this is something that I know we've all had partnerships.
Very personal.
Very personal. You've got an interesting story, and I think there's a lot of wisdom that can be applied from it. So talk about your experience with partnerships and maybe some advice to the listeners that are entering maybe their first partnership coming up.
So a partnership is designed to start and is designed to end. And the moment you forget that it's designed to end, it will bite you in the ass. It is. Because if you're in a partnership, it's because you believe you can't do it alone. You believe there's another person, a colleague, that has something that you don't have, and chances are you have something that he doesn't have or she doesn't have, and you go into it together. But you should never be relying on another person. You should develop that skill set so that in the future you don't need a partner. Because what happens is the partnership will end, and if you're not aware of it, it will end without your consent, or will end without your foresight of it ending. And in my situation, I had a partner. He was from London. He had a bigger balance sheet than I did, because he had a little real estate investing background. He had done single family flats in prime central London. He did a little bit of brokerage as well. I didn't have any real estate experience. I was green. I'm from the valley, man. I'm from South Texas. I'm just like, again, my dad worked at Whataburger. That was it. We never had any real estate experience. The only real estate we own is the house my mom and dad bought in 1980, for probably $40,000. And he was all world to me, because I'd never seen this kind of person. And he spoke like he was a gecko. Like, the Geico commercial where they sound really smart? He was that guy. He could sound really
And he had an accent, which I think is pretty cool.
It is British.
It adds like 10 points to IQ.
Yeah, at least.